What I've learned after 1 month of finishing residency. So for those of you that don't know, my name's Dr. Neslim, and I am a resident physician going into physical medicine and rehabilitation with a special interest in sports medicine, and I hope to do a sports medicine fellowship once I complete that residency. However, because it's my first year of residency, I actually have to do just a standard medical intern year. So this last month, I was on the hospital medicine floors doing what a traditional internal medicine resident would be doing. I'm going in 6 days a week. I'm working usually between 6:30 a.m. to about 5 p.m. if I'm not on call, and when I'm on call until 8 p.m., although sometimes it goes even later than that if things come up and you have to stay late. So that's what I've been doing, and I think over the last month of finally actually being a quote-unquote real doctor, I've learned a lot. I definitely feel like I'm finally doing what I set out to do and have gone through so many years of schooling for. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about what I've learned thus far going through residency. So the first thing is that there's so much you're going to pick up throughout residency. I wouldn't worry too much between medical school and residency in terms of preparing. Yes, you can freshen up on your content, and I think that I definitely have forgotten some things than when I was studying for step 1 and step 2. That's probably the smartest I've ever been. But you pick up different things when you're in the hospital. For example, things that you're just not really going to be able to learn until you're actually in residency, like how do you do a discharge summary, or how do you put in discharge orders, or just logistical things of calling families, coordinating care, working with the social workers, the pharmacists, the nurses, and really just like synthesizing everything to get the best quality care for your patients is skills that you really need to pick up once you're actually working as a resident. So the way I try to approach it is every single day, I just try to add one new thing to my arsenal that I can then use to be a better doctor. And it could be as simple as this when you're just starting out in residency. The first day I had a patient, they needed a blood transfusion because they had a hemoglobin of less than 7 and were symptomatic, but I didn't know how to properly place orders to get a blood transfusion. And so I learned how to do that. Also making sure that the patient's properly signing the consent form and they're informed of the risks and benefits of getting blood. Just simple things like that you're just not going to do as a medical student. I'm starting to learn as a resident physician and am now going to be comfortable. Every time I've had to do it after that, I knew exactly what I needed to do. So what I would say is that in your first month, just try to start to pick these little things up, and also don't put too much pressure on yourself. Roll with the punches. If, for example, in my first 3 days, I had 3 different attendings, and every single attending wanted to see things done in different manners. Some people like notes being done earlier. Others don't want notes done until later in the afternoon. Some attendings want you to present one way, and others will have you present in a different style. And so you need to be very adaptable as a resident. You also shouldn't let anything come at you personally, because if you do, it's going to be a long 3 to 7 years of residency, however long you're in residency for. Another thing that I really took away from residency in my first month, and I already knew this like as a medical student, but now I feel like I really know it and really appreciate, is the nurses, the pharmacists, the social workers, everyone else on the healthcare team. They are so valuable. And most of these people, even though you're the quote unquote doctor, have much more experience than you in the hospital, and especially in their specific role. So a lot of the things that the nurses can do, placing IVs and things like that, they're going to be better than me at. So make sure that you treat your nurses well, you respect them, you listen to them. I mean, there are things that they'll know and clinical judgments that they can make that as a first year resident, you're just not going to have as much experience in. And so it's really helpful to listen to your nurses and take everything they say serious, especially if you're just starting out. Even I definitely found a new appreciation for pharmacists, because I feel like in med school, where I trained at least, I didn't interact with the pharmacists as much, but in the hospital I'm working at now, the pharmacist actually rounds with us, and they're constantly looking, oh, maybe we can change this IV medication to oral because the bioavailability is the same, and we could start getting the patient off of IV meds. Or they catch mistakes when they happen. I mean, sometimes you will place an order and maybe it's not a big mistake, but maybe it's an interaction that, while not a big deal with another medicine, you can use a different medicine that will accomplish the same thing. Just these little things, like I've gotten calls from the pharmacy, oh, this is how you should order it. Even though we know what you meant, like this is how you want to put it in so that we can approve it faster, whatever it might be. The pharmacists are really like the angel watching your back, especially when it comes to ordering medicines. And I have a absolute newfound appreciation for them, as well as the social workers. One of the things I like about where I am doing residency right now is we have like these interdisciplinary rounds in the morning, and the social workers, the pharmacists, the nurses are all there. And so the social worker, they're playing a huge part in being able to have a safe discharge for the patient and doing a lot of logistics that if you have a good social worker on your team, you might not have to do as a resident. There are definitely things where I trained where we were in definitely a more underserved community and short staff sometimes, where I would be doing some of these things as a med student while trying to round on my patients and learn, and it becomes a lot. And so having a good team behind you is awesome, and I'm super thankful to have that where I am right now. And so thank you to everyone on the healthcare team. And the last thing that I learned in this first month about being a good doctor, and I still want to improve every day and become a better and better physician, but it's how important your social skills and being empathetic and listening to the patient actually is. I've had a number of, I'm happy to say, great positive interactions with patients where they thanked me so much. They said I really made an impact on their care, and they felt so much more comfortable being in the hospital because I was their doctor. And I'd say 99% of any positive interaction that I had with a patient was because they liked my personality. We got along. I cracked some jokes in the morning when I saw them, when appropriate, of course. And they just enjoyed interacting with me, and I enjoyed interacting with them. It almost never had anything to do with my own medical knowledge. Now, at the end of the day, there's an attending and a senior resident above me. And so all the plans that I come up with or think about, we discuss on rounds. And I'm always being supervised as I'm treating patients right now. But where you can really make an impact as an intern, besides just making sure that you know your patients well, you're staying up to date with everything, right? Let's say they have a low potassium. You want to be repleting their potassium in the morning, things like that. More importantly is you have time, hopefully in the morning, more than most, to go and talk to your patients and spend time with them. And I usually see 8 patients a day. So in the morning, I only have like an hour to go see all 8 patients. But I really try to take that time and speak with them, chat about the medical stuff, but then also get to know them outside of just the medicine stuff too, because that makes a big difference. And so I've found that if I feel like I'm lacking somewhere, whether it's the medical knowledge or whatever it may be, and of course you should be always studying and keeping up to date, but you're not going to know everything going in as an intern. What I can fall back on is just knowing that I'm going to be there for my patients. I'm going to be empathetic towards them. I make them feel comfortable. And that is something that makes me feel less nervous, especially when I was just starting out, because I knew that is something I could always lean on and can make a big impact for patients when maybe you can't as much on the medicine side, let's say. Not that you're not doing that, you are, but there's many people part of the team, the senior resident, the attending, that are really making that plan. And so your biggest impact, at least what I found, is just how you interact with the patients. So those are some things that I've learned in my first month of residency. It was a long month. It was very tiring, but very rewarding. And I feel like I learned a lot very rapidly each day. And I hope that this excites, hopefully doesn't scare too many people that might be starting residency if you're watching this, or just started, or you're a medical student or pre-med student, even earlier in the process. And if you like these types of videos, you want to see more, drop down in the comments below any questions or things you want to hear about. I'd love to see that, and I will make sure to make a video about it. And please, if you're getting any value from these videos, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.